Hello designers, welcome to one of your last video lessons. We're nearing the end and this one's a fun one. I show it to you at the end of the semester because it's sort of a cheat code when it comes to Illustrator because it bypasses a lot of the harder work, but it doesn't always work, so you do need to know the long form. But let's get started by going to File, New. Let's set this up as a 16 by 20 inch, so if you need to put it in over here, and click Create. Making sure you're set to inches, of course. We're going to save this file, save as, saving it in the appropriate folder. So in your folder, Print Shop, in your lessons folder, and I want you to call it Image Trace. Stop the video, do that. All right, now we're going to place a scanned in image. So we're going to go to File, Place. We're going to go back to Courses, Art, Print Shop, Illustrator Lessons, and scrolling at the bottom there should be a Photoshop file called Image Trace, and you're going to hit Place. Now it's not going to look like anything happened, but if you let your cursor hover over, you see this weird little icon. All you have to do is click. It's now placed this scanned in drawing. Now you'll notice it's really big. We need to resize this. Before you just grab a corner, you need to make sure you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard as you drag to make this smaller. If you do not, if I don't hold Shift, when I resize it, I could stretch it, and I don't want to do that. We want to constrain it so it's right across. Okay, stop the video, do that. All right, so this is when an artist wants to draw by hand and then scan it in, and we will be doing this at some point in time in this class. You do need to make sure that when you are scanning in a drawing that it has nice, thick, dark outlines and that all of your shapes are closed in really well. If they're not, when you use Image Trace, it's going to have breaks in it, so you won't have closed in shapes and you'll have to go change all of those. Okay, but let's click on our placed sweater here, and then we're going to go to Object, Image Trace, Make and Expand. That's very important that you put the expand. If you put just make, it won't work. This is going to pop up. It says, hey, this might take a while. Just click OK to that. And then this dialog box is going to pop up, and bam, it's now been traced. But you will notice it's one big object. We're going to drag it over into the gray space here, just so that we can make sure that we're deleting what we need to delete. All right, so we're going to right click and ungroup. Now I want to click in the gray space to deactivate. This is why it's important to have closed in shapes, because if I click on the white space now on the outside of the sweater and hit delete, notice it still keeps all of the white space in here, and that is really important, because if not, if I have a break and it deletes, all of this will be empty. That is so important. I can't express that enough. So important. All right, once you have this, I want you to click and drag, and we're going to bring the whole thing back over onto our artboard and just center it approximately. Okay, now it's pretty simple. Now we just paint and draw, or we color in. First thing I want to point out is that your black lines don't have to stay black. Right now the lines are black, but if I click on this, it's not really a line. It's just a complex shape that's really thin. It sees it as an object, it fills. Notice it's not a stroke. So if I double click on that, I can actually click on a different color. Now, it's probably going to go gray, and here's why this happens. If you just saw, you're like, hey, I clicked red. Why is that not changing to red? Because when you scan in a black and white image, for whatever reason, Illustrator thinks you're probably working in grayscale. So in order to convert back to color mode, you go to Window, Color, and then this dialog box will pop up. If I can find it, it just popped up on my other screen. Where did it go? I'm going to try that again. I lost it. Window. It says it's open. I just got to find where it is. It's somewhere on my screen. Do that again. Oh, there we go. It popped up. Okay, so this will pop up. Click on the drop down, and notice how it says grayscale? Nope. Click RGB, like, hey computer, no, I want it to be in RGB, and now you can select a new color. Okay, it may revert back every once in a while. Just go back to that color and go back to RGB. Okay, now I want to show you why it's important when you connect things. So notice here, because that was connected, it filled it in a shape. So, and the same with here, because it was connected. So when you're drawing, you want to make sure that all your shapes are closed in, but you also want to make sure they're not touching other shapes if you don't want it all to be connected. But we're going to go through, and on each one of these lines, I want you to fill whatever colors you want. I don't care. See, it converted back to that again. Once you do it a few times and reset it back to RGB, it will finally get the hint. It just takes a while sometimes for that to work. See, it keeps wanting to, but eventually it will get the point. All right, so go ahead, and I want you to change your colors of the lines of your sweater. Okay, stop the video and change the outlines. All right, then coming back in, now notice we can fill in the sweater. It's the same way. So I'm gonna let you take some time and basically color your sweater. Man, my colors do not want to swap out. All right, so go ahead, take some time filling in your sweater. Okay, somewhere in your sweater, I do want you to try and apply a gradient fill. So let's review adding a gradient. Remember, if you want to alter the gradient in here, you have to actually use the gradient tool to do that. So you can click and drag. I can change my colors. Come on. There we go. All right, so I want you somewhere on your sweater to apply a gradient fill. Stop the video, do that. And somewhere on your sweater, I would like you to try some of the other effects. You can go to pixelate, mezzotint, trying to add some texture in there. I'm gonna put a green texture. Actually, I like stained glass. That looks kind of cool. All right, so somewhere on one of your fills, I want you to add one of the photoshopped effects. You're probably going to have your best effects in texture. Go ahead and do that. All right, and then in one of the areas, once you have it colored in a certain color, I would like you to review how to draw inside. So we're going to click on that draw inside. I want you to switch to the paintbrush tool. I want you to select a contrasting color. You can pick whatever style brush you want. You can do a textured brush if you'd like. And I want you to draw inside that object. Stop the video, do that now. All right, and with any time remaining, I want you to just have some fun coloring in your sweater. Make sure you hit File, Save. When you're done, this should be completely filled in. Mine is not, for sake of time. Fill it all in. Make sure it's the most awesome sweater you've ever seen, and make sure you turn this into Google Classroom. Good job, designers.